I wanted to talk to you today about the meaning of life. And if that sounds rather presumptuous of me, well, I may well have bitten off more than I can chew. This is one of those perennial questions. What is the meaning of life? It's rather like what the Greeks used to ask, know thyself. Can anyone do such a thing? Can you ever find out the meaning of life? And you certainly can't deal with it in a matter of a 5-minute talk like this. However, I do want to give an attempt at that, and I do want to give you the benefit of whatever I've learned over the last X number of years. Because I think I might have some advice to give on that, because it's one of those questions which I think people ask themselves even from a very early age, from teenage years, when you're beginning to find your own way of life, beginning to think independently for the first time, 13, 14, 15, it gets you into so much trouble with your mum and dad because you suddenly think differently from them and you don't just take your views from them. From that point of view of independence, you start to ask yourself questions like, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose behind life? What am I here for? What's it all about? What should I be doing with my time? And if you are one of those people who do ask those questions out loud almost, do think about it for yourself. I would say you're one of the rare people to do that. We may all go through a stage, but very few people actually spend much time thinking about that kind of thing. The meaning of life tends to pass them by simply because, well, they've got so many other things to do. And besides which, there's so many pleasant things to do. You can sit and watch the television most of the time. Most people have no much thought about the meaning of life, and they don't know where that might be found. I suppose what I've discovered myself is that the meaning of life is inherently linked to having a goal in life, having something to aim at in your life. And if you have nothing to aim at in your life, then you won't have any meaning attached to it, because those two things sort of come hand in hand. Pursuing the goal is pursuing the meaning. Without any goal, you're just aimlessly drifting place to place. So I always ask people the question, if they say, well, about life's meaning, what's that about? My question is, what is your goal? What is your aim? Now, you can get your goal. You might say, well, where do I get a goal from? You can get your goal from many different places. You can get that from reading books. You might be taken up with philosophy. You might be taken up with religion. Religion is very good at giving people the meaning to life. And that meaning to life is something which I suppose religion specifies. If you're involved in Christianity, then it's the kingdom of God, which is the meaning of life. Other religions have other goals for you to aim at. As the Shorter Catechism put it, the meaning of life or the purpose of man is to know God. And that could be an excellent and meaning to provide for life if you're a religious person. What if you're not religious? What do you do then? Where do you get a goal from? Well, the fact of the matter is, you can choose your own goal in life. You can choose whatever you want it to be, but without a goal, you won't have a meaning. With a goal, you will have a meaning. For example, you might decide you want to be the fastest runner in your town or in your team or wherever it may be, and you spend a lot of time getting to that great speed that you can do and entering races. That becomes a meaningful purpose for you. You might find that you have other meanings that you might want to do. You may want to become the richest person. You may want to earn lots of money. That might be a fantastic meaning for you, because that's what you think life is mostly about. You set your own meaning and you set your own goal. And when you set a goal, when you get to the point where you can set a goal for yourself, you have provided a meaning for your life. That's not to say that all goals are equally as good, or all goals are equally as valid. Some are not as good as others. We might talk about those in a minute, but let me just say that if you've got a goal, any kind of goal at all, it can be the most humble of goals, then at least you're better off than those people who don't have any goal or any aim in life to make. Many people don't have a goal. They don't think about goals. They don't think about where to aim their lives or what to do with their lives or which direction to send their lives. And so, yeah, they end up just making decisions as they come along. Whichever path seems to be the best, I'll go down that way. Whichever path seems to be not so good, I'll avoid that one. And you can drift through life in that kind of way. And if you do drift through life in that kind of way, then you end up with a meaningless kind of life. A life which you will find struggling to find some purpose within it. But then most people are like that. Most people you will find will spend a lot of their time sitting in front of a television. Maybe they spend their time watching the football on the television, or maybe it's a soap opera. And that's not just this day or that day, but every single day. And every single day of the next year and the year after that. And when you get to the end of a life like that, you think, well, what have I travelled to? Where have I got to? And the answer is I haven't gone anywhere, and I haven't taken any responsibility for anything, and I haven't accomplished anything in life because I never had a goal. I just drifted through life. And as a consequence, a life like that can end up being very meaningless, completely. So my question to you then is, what is your goal? You don't have to struggle too hard to find various goals. They can be short-term goals, they can be small goals. You can have any number of goals that you like. All of them will provide you with greater or lesser meaning. I once saw a woman who was, she looked a bit like a tramp, and she was wandering around the streets after the shops had shut on a Saturday, and she just went round the streets picking up all the litter, and she put all the litter in the bin. Now, I don't know whether that was her deliberate goal, but she made the life of people in that town just a little bit, just a tiny bit better than it would have been otherwise. She didn't have to do that, but she had something to do. And no doubt she probably felt there was at least a meaningfulness within what she did. Being able to have a goal like that, and a goal which actually has or adds value to the people around you or to the world around you, maybe reduces suffering in some way. You need to, you could pick up any goal you like, and if you make a contribution to your group, your society, your family, and you're determined to maybe just make a contribution which will make everyone's life a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit less suffering, that could be a very worthwhile goal too. But you don't have to start off with big noble goals. You don't have to start with a great massive goal to solve the world's problems, or you can start off with small things, just fix a few things, just take some responsibility for something which you should do. Have it as a goal that you're going to be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today, a little bit nicer than you were today, a little bit more helpful maybe tomorrow than you were today, and just move on from one small goal to another small goal. And every time you set yourself a goal to do, then you provide a meaning for your life. You provide a purpose for your existence. And that becomes a very valuable thing. You can look back on what you've done and you can say, well, I made some progress. But you're not going to make any progress without a goal. So what is your goal? Set yourself a goal. It can be small to begin with. It can be any number of goals you like, but pick up the goal. Struggle manfully forward with it. You might fall over sometimes. You might not get very far with it some other times. Pick yourself up and keep going. Get towards that goal as best you possibly can. And as you stumble forward, as you make some effort to get to that place where you are aiming at, you'll find that meaning will come along, sure enough. And you'll look back and you'll think, gosh, I've travelled some way as well.